Hey there, it's April 14th, 2015. I'm Drutter, and this is a garden update along with some tips on gardening and tomato seedlings. If you're looking for silver analysis, activism, and the other topics that I cover, I cannot do those at this time. I'm still looking for a way to make it happen on this channel, and if I can, I will. There's the rhubarb, doing well, haven't harvested any yet. And as you can see, my potatoes are up. They're looking pretty stocky. They're kind of tall. Look at this one here. So they're going to need mounding. I'll pile up the dirt around them, but there's quite a patch of potatoes here. So I'm going to have a lot of potatoes to eat somewhere around Canada Day. That thing coming up there, nice and bushy, that's a delphinium. There's another one down the other end. It's smaller. That's garlic. Doing pretty good. Some more garlic there. And the green bushy stuff in behind is summer crocuses. I don't know why they're here, they just keep coming up every year. Some irises, roses. And this is where the tomatoes are going to go when they're ready. The tulips have just been gorgeous this year. Really, really beautiful year for tulips. This is the lily garden. Coming up like wildfire now. These are two really special ones here, this one and this one. They'll be massive this year. They get taller than me. I've got some strawberry plants and a couple of planters here. They've moved with me a few times over the years. And now I've got them here at Grandma's house. Maybe it's where I should have had them all along. Could have had them in the ground actually. But I think I'll keep them in these planters. They do fairly well each year. I get a few handfuls of fresh strawberries off them, which is always really nice. And I'm doing some spinach this year. Here's how it looks right now. Kind of weird looking, but I think this is normal. They'll be transplanted out into the garden soon. There's that hosta. And some trilliums. I was recently cleaning out the freezer here at my grandma's and I found what appeared to be some bean seeds stored in the freezer in a small container. This isn't all of them, this is a small portion of them, but I was quite excited because I thought that I had lost most of my grandfather's seeds. He was quite an accomplished gardener, and when he died several years ago, I just for some reason did not carry on a lot of his seeds. I forgot, or I wasn't as interested in gardening then, or I was in grief, so I missed out on a lot of the seeds. But apparently these have been in the freezer ever since, and so I asked my grandma, by any chance do you know about these seeds? And she said, oh my goodness, those are Mr. Green's beans. Apparently my grandfather and a man named Mr. Green, who was a gardener apparently, of some renown, he was amazing at gardening, they had done these seeds together, and how it went was they would grow them one year and then get the seeds back from them, send the seeds to the other man, my grandfather or Mr. Green, and then he would grow them for a year, and he would take the best seeds from what he produced and send them back. And they did that for decades. And these are those seeds. Apparently they are amazing. They have no string in them. You can eat the whole bean pod. They're huge. And you can eat the whole thing. There's no string in them. They bred it out of the bean, apparently. So I'm quite excited to grow these this year. Apparently they're called Mr. Green's beans, or at least that's what I'm going to call them, because my grandfather and him were the ones that cultivated them, I guess. So I'm really interested to see what comes up. If anything does, I hope that they are still viable. It's been in the freezer for many years, so that'll be interesting to see. I'm going to put these in some water right now and see what comes up. Hopefully in the next garden video you'll see some bean sprouts. I'm learning that lettuce is harder to do from seed than it is to do from seedling. As it is with everything, I guess, but it's been a challenge. I'm not sure what's going on with these. They don't look like any lettuce that I know, although I would probably eat that leaf. That looks tasty. But, I mean, there's not much there. I don't know how long it's going to take to grow these. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I know lettuce don't like a lot of heat, so I've made sure that these guys aren't getting too much heat. They like it fairly cool and they like it damp, so I'm keeping the soil damp most days and just letting it dry out slightly. But I'm not sure. I'm going to keep on working on these things. And of course the tomatoes. Here are some tomato seedlings. These ones are my organic orange bell tomatoes that I've been growing for several years. Last time I showed you them, they were nothing but dirt, so here they are, doing okay. They always look kind of funny like that. They're twisted. They have twisted looking leaves, twisted looking stems. They're crooked, but they're supposed to be that way. I always thought it was a problem with them, but then as they grow, they just keep doing that. They keep looking funny, and they keep looking twisted, and the tomatoes that come off them are really tasty. So that's just how they are. Even when they're seedlings, they look like that. And these are the black Russian bell tomatoes. As you can see, we're just about to start the first set of real leaves coming out there in the middle. So that's good. Only 4 or 5, that one not too good, but only 4 nice looking ones have come up. But that's enough, and I'll grow those and see what happens. A subscriber sent me those. And yes, these are the Sweet 100s. And the Amish paste have been transplanted. The Sweet 100s are about to be transplanted. I didn't get it done before doing this video, but that's okay. I'm going to do it next. And there they are. There's quite a few. There's more than I need, so I'm going to give a few of these to friends and neighbors and stuff. But all of them survived my transplant a couple of days ago. I didn't lose any, and they actually look like they're doing well. And we've had moderate weather here in Vancouver. The spring came early this year in 2015, but of course it didn't stay. It came early, but it didn't stay. But we didn't have another frost, so that's good, and we seem to be out of the woods for that. It still needs to be in the greenhouse for the tomatoes. They need warmth. They can't handle it too cold. So I have them here in the greenhouse, but they're doing fairly well just with the greenhouse and the sunlight that's coming in. As you can see, they're not huge, but they are healthy and coming right along. Just a note, if you haven't started your tomatoes yet, you still have time. There's still a lot of snow around North America right now. I'm aware of that. It's just not here in the west on Vancouver, but in the east and of course in like northern Ontario and stuff, you guys are still waiting. So keep hanging in there, guys, but get your seedlings started. It is time. No matter where you are, it is time. You have to get that going. Remember your promise to me, if you have my seeds, that you were going to grow them this year. So please get those into some soil and grow along with me. I'm going to go over a few tips here. Some problems that people encounter this time of year, some common ones, are overwatering. Please don't overwater your tomato seedlings. Once they've germinated, they need a lot of water to germinate and heat. But once they've germinated, they don't have to have it quite so warm. Of course, don't get them chilly. And they don't have to have it wet at all, really. The surface of the soil should dry out completely in between waterings, depending on what soil you're using, of course. This has, it's like a starter mix with a little bit of compost in it, so it dries out fairly rapidly. And when I see it dry on the top, I know that the soil is still a little bit moist underneath. So I don't water right away. I like to make them thirsty, let's say. Whatever doesn't kill them makes them stronger. You don't want them wilting and falling over. But you can look for signs and get to know your tomato plants. Get to know all plants, in fact. And learn to recognize when they need water. And it's not just when they fall over that they need water. You can tell, there's other signs you can look for. And we'll go over those as we do future videos. But definitely do not overwater at this time of year. You'll get damping off, which means the surface of the soil is too wet, and it creates a little bit of damage just at the surface, and that part of the stem gets thinner and thinner, and then eventually the whole thing just snaps off or rots off. And you've lost your plant, obviously, at that point. So do not overwater. Let them dry out in between. That's how tomato plants like it. That's how nature does it, so that's how you do it. Another problem this time of year is transplanting too soon. Don't transplant out into your garden unless you have some kind of covering on your garden or a polytunnel or something over it. But you don't want to plant out into the open garden unless maybe you're in the southern United States and it's been an early spring or something. April might be okay for you, but in general this is not the time to do it. It's too cold. You need it to be 10 degrees every night consistently. That's Celsius, of course, or higher. Otherwise they just can't. They can't do it. 8 or 9 degrees maybe, but unless you really know what you're doing and you want to risk it a bit, don't plant out in the garden. One caveat to that is if you want to plant out in the garden now, maybe plant a quarter or a half of your crop and see how it goes, see how they do. Keep the other half in reserve where it's a bit more safe, and then if that doesn't work out well for you, you still got your plants. One more issue to talk about that can happen at this time of year is sort of the opposite to transplanting too soon, and it's keeping your plants in the same pots too long. These are ready to go into bigger pots. As you can see, I have 2 in some, and there's even 3 in a couple of them. I've thinned it out as we've gone along, and there's a lot that have been removed. But as you can see, they're getting crowded, they're competing for light, and if I were to open up one of these and show you the root systems in there, they are starting to get consolidated, which is also called root bound. You don't want your roots to be too compacted inside there, because then when you transplant it finally, they'll sort of stay in that same shape because they've learned that that's their boundary. So you want them to know that they have lots of room. So when they start hitting the edge of your container, the roots on the bottom and the sides, that's when the plant wants to be transplanted, and when obviously they're starting to compete for the sunlight that's hitting them too, which is their source of food and energy. So they need to be transplanted. Like these ones over here. Move my camera a bit. There we go. Those are my Amish paste down there, and they're doing really well. And so don't let your plants stay in the same pots too long. You don't want to transplant them all the time, because each time you transplant, depending on your skill level with transplanting and your luck and such, you will get a couple of days probably of downtime where the plant doesn't really grow, just sort of recovers because the roots have been molested. You need to let those roots re-strengthen. Don't water too much on the transplant, of course, but as you can see, these pots are a little bit damp after transplanting, and just allow them a couple of days really before you declare them dead. If they look a little sick or a little sad, it's just they're just shocked, and you need to give them a bit of time. They'll come back, and these ones already have come back. I was pretty gentle when I did them, but of course transplanting is always a pain in the ass for plants. They don't really like it, but then they're happier once they get reestablished in the new pots. So I've still got about a month before I'm going to be putting these in the garden. I'm not anticipating summer coming anytime in April. Probably mid-March, May, depending on the conditions out there. And so I have a few weeks left, so I've decided to transplant these Amish paste. And these guys will be done later today after this video is uploaded. Here are the sweet peas that I'm growing for my grandmother. They were just dirt last time I showed you, I think. But I've had almost 100% germination, so that's quite good. And sweet peas are a flower, very sweetly scented, and they're the birth flower of April. And a friend of mine, Russ, just had a baby boy with his wife, so congratulations. Here's a shot of some sweet peas, and just as the sweet pea sort of symbolizes growth and birth and health and vitality, I want to wish you those things for your family and for your new baby boy. Congratulations, man. You are very lucky to have him, and you're a great guy, so he's very lucky to have you as well. Congratulations to your family. Nothing but the best. Keep getting big on them. Ugh. These poppies are getting big on them. Speaking of wrappers, here's an azalea. This one's actually attractive though. Smells good. Hope you guys got something out of the video. If not, I recommend you not watch my future garden updates, because they're going to be more of the same pretty much. But if you did, great. And I hope you have good luck in your garden this year. Leave a comment down below if you already have Google+. I'm not going to be getting it. I don't want you to get it unless you already have it. But I can read your comments. I can't respond. But if you have any questions, maybe someone else can answer in the comment section down below. Or if you provide a way to get a hold of you, I could do so. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.